Merry Christmas, everybody. And isn't it amazing? Right before Christmas, we get a great, great gift in the form of, it's a lot of numbers, but it means the economy is starting to boom. How about that? The takeaway? Take the gift. Because this is good stuff. Also, something to be aware of, something you could do about surveillance pricing is now a thing. There was a big CBS report about this. That's the bad part of it, but it doesn't mean you have to take it. We've got that to talk about, as well as you're going to hate me for this, but I have the gift for you right before Christmas. I listened to it a couple of minutes ago, and I can't get it out of my head, so now I have to. I have to share it with you in a couple of minutes. And you're not prepared for it, trust me. You are not prepared for Mongolian Jingle bells, but I'm going to play it for you anyway. This is unbelievable. It's going to be stuck in your head all through the holidays, probably into the spring. But it's an earworm. I have to share it with you now. Anyway, we got that coming up as well. Thanks for being here, and I truly mean it. Merry Christmas. Thanks for being with me this year. I always appreciate your time. Thanks for following along, too. And again, like I said yesterday, there's been a lot more of you over the past couple of months. So if you're new here, what we do is Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern Time is a Wicked Radio live stream, and then it lives on as a replay on X and on Facebook and on YouTube, and then an audio podcast, too, shortly after, wherever you like to get them. So with that said, let's get right to this good news. What about this? What about this booming economy? What about all this talk of a golden age coming? Could it be true? Well, first and foremost, now that everybody was talking about this, it was a big headline. But let's go to CNN's clip on it, because if they're talking about it, you know they hate talking about good news for America. If they're talking about it, it must be even better than what they're saying. But here's the news.
A new report shows the U.S. economy was much stronger than expected in the third quarter. GDP grew at the fastest rate in 2 years. Americans are also seeing some prices ease at the grocery store. The cost of eggs, milk, chicken, and tomatoes are all down, as you see here on the screen.
What? But GDP grew? The expectations were 3.3%, and it's actually 4.3%. And I know that's a lot of numbers, and it gets bogged down. Here's the bottom line. Take the gift. Don't have to do a victory lap if you're predicting this. Just know that your bet on this economy, this administration, their policies paid off. Take the gift and run with it, because it means good things for the future, and probably means you can feel a little bit safer about investing if things follow through like this. All right, here's another follow-up on this. What does it truly mean? Is this the golden age they've been talking about? Well, it's for a different view. Let's go to Howard Lutnick. Now, he is the Commerce Secretary, so keep this in mind with a grain of salt. It's his job to promote all this and, do a victory lap and all that other stuff. But listen to what he says on it compared to other nations. Just because he's incredibly biased doesn't mean the guy's wrong.
So just think, the whole world out there in the third quarter, the United Kingdom grew 0.1, the European Union grew 0.4, and Japan fell 0.6%, fell 0.6%. Donald Trump's economy grew, the United States of America, the biggest economy in the world, 4.3%. With that,
okay, like I said, got to take it with a couple of grains of salt there. He is in the administration. He's part of those policy decisions. Howard Lutnick is the Commerce Secretary, so obviously he's biased. But like I said, doesn't mean he's wrong. All of those numbers, our GDP compared to all those other countries, it's all out there. It's all published. It's all public record. So doesn't mean he's wrong. But what does he mean by this golden age? Because to me, my definition, I can't get bogged down into numbers, and you can't either, right? 3.3 was actually 4.3. That's great. Blah, blah, blah. What does it all mean? For me, to talk about this being the start of an economic boom and a golden age, as they like to say, which is actually great framing, by the way. That's great persuasion. If it's a true golden age, it has to hit me and you in the wallet or the pocketbook or my credit card directly. Is all of this stuff tied together? Is it affecting gas prices? Well, for this, let's go to CNN again. Because, again, like I say, if they're talking about good news, it's probably even better.
They've been under control really all year, and they're ending the year at especially low levels. So the national average, $2.86 a gallon. That's down by 21 cents from a month ago. It's also the lowest level since April of 2021. Now, gas prices were pretty low a year ago, too, but they're even lower right now. When you look across...
Okay. Seems to be... I'm no economic expert. I'm just a guy like you. Seems to be pretty good news to me. I don't know. Oh, it's just... And I'm sure they'll try to shoot it down into flames and well, it's all temporary. It's all this. Okay, but I'll take the gift. You know, I don't need to do a victory lap on it because I kind of predicted these things would happen. Maybe you did too in your life, but I'll take the gift as it comes because it means better economic future for everybody. That's what I'm happy about. One concern, though. Now let's go to our feature story here because this was concerning. CBS did a big report on this, and it's called surveillance pricing. Two scary words combined at once. Surveillance? Ooh, don't like that. Pricing? Usually means it's going up. Surveillance pricing put together is what? We can't be surprised about it. We've all known that this is coming for a while, right? I mean, we can't sit back and say that my price for an item or an airline ticket is going to be different from yours based on my buying habits. Can't sit here and say that that's surprising. Why do you think they've been collecting all this data? But it's here. Let's go to the CBS story. Now, we'll take this down into pieces to figure out what we can actually do about it. But is it concerning? Of course it is. But I don't think we can claim to be surprised about that. This was the CBS report from yesterday. We'll take it into pieces.
Holiday season, you and your neighbor could be shopping for the exact same item and pay different prices. CBS News correspondent Evan Moon explains what surveillance pricing is and how your personal data plays a role.
All right, first, before we go to that, again, this has been coming. We've heard about this for the longest time. But do you remember what they used to say about this? Remember the privacy experts who were saying for years, like they started saying this 20 years ago. They're collecting all your data, anything you post, anything you buy, it's all being collected. Everybody at first called them crazy. They don't sound so crazy anymore because it is here. But again, I don't think we should be surprised. Here's the rest of the report. We'll take it in pieces.
You may be shopping for gifts from the comfort of your couch, but stores can still see who you are.
Most of these companies are charging you a different price based on some data they have about you. It could be your location, could be your proximity to the store, it could be your shopping history, knowing that you bought a product previously and are willing to pay for it again.
It's a practice most people aren't aware of.
Do you know what surveillance pricing is?
No,
never heard of it. What is it?
Consumer Watchdog President Jamie Court says surveillance pricing is nearly impossible to avoid.
All right, here's the other thing. It's a good report. They talked to people on the street, and they just threw that term at. It's kind of a new term. They said, do you know what surveillance pricing is? Of course they're going to say, no, I don't know what that is. If you explained it to those same people this way, though, companies and marketers collecting your data to change your price compared to somebody else. If you posed it that way to those people, they'd say, oh, yeah, no, that's the thing that's been happening. We've heard about this for decades, like I said. What can you do about it?
Try to limit how much information they have about you, but the genie's out of the bottle, unfortunately.
Court says his organization has evidence all the major retailers use personal algorithms to nudge a price up or down, targeting data from your Amazon cart, Uber rides, or even the brand of laptop you're using to shop.
No, it wouldn't surprise me, but I would probably monitor pricing on a general basis more frequently.
And for those traveling for the holidays,
Airlines will charge you a different price depending upon how many times you go to the website.
he says using a private browsing mode is one strategy.
It used to be you had to shop around to get the best price. Now you have to shop around and pretend you're not you. It's nuts.
But Jameson Spivak with the Future Privacy Forum says all the data collection could mean lower prices for some frequent.
Well, that's the thing there. He said two things. So this is what I try to do. Okay, here's the headline, here's the story, not just to leave it with my opinion or to scare you. No, just take this news. What can we do about it? And he kind of said it right there a little bit. It's always a cat and mouse game with marketers or consumer companies or, advertising firms, whatever it is. First thing is recognizing and acknowledging that we knew this was coming. We just did. This is just the age we live in now. But there's always a workaround with this stuff. It's always cat and mouse. First and foremost, there's going to be, there's always been data protection services out there, right? To protect who you are, always. They're going to be coming out down the pike now that surveillance pricing is here to protect your consumer data specifically. Those services will be available. I can almost guarantee it, probably by the spring, now that this is a thing we're seeing it this Christmas season. Second thing is, there's always a workaround, and I think what a common habit is going to be is you will have a separate device or a separate iPad, separate computer with a VPN on it to protect your address to where you're shopping from that will be just for purchases. I think that's coming until they find out how to get that too. There's always a cat and mouse game between marketers and consumers. There's always a way. And there's always a way around it until they change again and we change again and we change again. So I think the first takeaway is we knew this was coming, and if you're prepared for it, you can take some steps to avoid it. But what he said there at the end was, I think, important too. This stuff always has a counter effect. Yeah, they're going to differentiate your price based on your buying habits. But if you're a frequent consumer, and I think he used the airlines there as an example, sometimes, just sometimes, you're going to get a lower price than your friend down the street because of certain deals. So there's a give and take with this thing. It's not as scary as it sounds because we knew it was coming. And also, you can always work your way around this. Always. All right. That's our deeper dive into that one. I actually, speaking of deeper dives, I need to find, maybe I'll interview that guy from that organization. I think I need to do a deeper dive on this to try to get some consumer advice of what we can do about that. And we'll put it out on the weekend for an interview segment or something. Put it on the podcast because I think it's definitely worth exploring because this is going to be a big deal for 2026. Surveillance pricing. Two bad words combined into one. Anyway, let's go into the headlines. Breaking news. Not really, because nobody covered it. But very quietly, one of the most impactful moves out of this particular administration that they've made so far. And it came from Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Boy, has he made some impacts, huh? Whether you like him or not, I'm talking about impact. He has been very impactful, and he's got like 4 jobs as it is. Yesterday, you might have missed this, but it happened. The State Department has barred 5 European figures accused of pressuring U.S. tech companies to suppress American viewpoints online. Long opening line, but what it means is this. Under the direction and the guidance of Secretary of State Marco Rubio, they have banned from entering our country 5 very influential European figures from entering our country because of how they've tried to enact the censorship industrial complex in Europe and have been successful at that, but trying to do it here. Here's the long and short of it. It's a figurehead kind of move, sure, but it's a big statement to make. So now you've got people in Europe, European leaders, who have treated their citizens terribly. I mean, we've all seen it. We've seen it in Germany, Sweden, the UK now, certainly Ireland as well. You post something that's they deem offensive, they're handing out jail terms for memes. It's actually happened. I know in rare cases it's happened in the States too. Trust me, it's happening a lot in Europe. So as a statement, the U.S. has barred those individuals from coming into our country as a statement to say, you're not going to do that here, and you're not going to. And this is a punishment for you treating your citizens that way. If you're trying to wrap your head around this, it's like, let's say it's like banning high-profile leaders from the UK because of their censorship industrial complex. We can't do that. Well, that's our most favored nation. That's our sister country. If you're thinking that, here's a reframe for you. Look at it this way. Would you be friends with a parent down the street who has kids the same age as you, but you know they abuse their kids? Of course you wouldn't. I wouldn't either. Well, look at it this way. And that's the parallel in your personal life. You wouldn't be friends with somebody you know that treats their kids like crap. You just wouldn't, because you don't accept that, right? Why would we possibly, no matter who it is, UK, France, Germany, any other so-called ally, you can't be besties. You can't be best friends with any other nation that treats their citizens like crap. Can't do it, won't do it. Can't accept it. And yeah, this is mostly just a, figurehead kind of statement to make. But it matters. All of this stuff matters. To make, first of all, punish them for treating their citizens like crap, but it also sends a message to the entire world and politicians in our country that would like to do this to our citizens to ban your free speech. Remember that? In the previous administration, really close to it, they were going to have an information czar. Remember that? She was going to determine what hate speech is, and all of the tech companies were going to decide what you can say and what you can't. Thank God that's not happening, and we should make sure that it never happens. We never, ever want to become what's going on in Europe right now. So this statement, banning certain Europeans from entering our country because of how they treat their citizens, good. All for it. 100% for it. All right, let's get out of the news for a second and go to a different piece of information. Like I said, it's our last show before Christmas. It's the last podcast before Christmas. Merry Christmas to you and yours. Hope it's an awesome, safe, beautiful family event. Appreciate your time. Appreciate what you have. And now you have something else. But I'm telling you, you're not ready. You're not ready for Mongolian Jingle Bells. But I'm going to give it to you anyway. Because you know how this goes. I heard this in real time as the live stream goes. I heard this about an hour ago this morning. And I cannot get it out of my head. You're going to hate this because you're going to be stuck with it too. I want to make sure I get this name right. There's a Dutch DJ. I'm probably going to massacre his name. Umet Ozcan. Umet Ozcan? I don't know, whatever. But he's the one that has come up with the little ditty called Mongolian Jingle Bells. You're going to hate me for this, but I'm sorry. I have to pass it on. It's just the way things go when you have an earworm. You're not going to get this out of your head.
Jingle a bell, jingle all the way. Oh, what a fun it is to ride on a Mongolian open sleigh. Oh, jingle a bell, jingle all the way. Oh, what a fun it is to ride on a Mongolian open sleigh. Oh, jingle a bell, jingle all the way.
I can't do any more. I can't. You're going to be opening your presents or even past. You're going to be spending New Year's Eve going, jingle a bell, loves to sleigh. That is Mongolian Jingle Bells. The DJ is Umet Ozcan. He's Dutch. I'm sorry to do that to you. It goes on for like 3 minutes, just like that. You talk about an earworm. I can't get it out of my head, but sorry about that. That's my gift to you. But you're probably gonna hate that gift and you can't return it because it's stuck in your head. But it's the season of giving, so that one's for you. All right. Thanks for finding me as always. I really, truly mean it. Merry Christmas. Have a beautiful holiday. I'll catch up with you after Christmas, right before New Year's. We'll talk about what's going on for the new year, predictions people are making, resolutions, all that other crap and all that good stuff. But as always, thanks for being with me. And again, if you're new, and there's a lot of new viewers and listeners these past couple of months, what we do every single day is the live stream Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern time on X and on Facebook and on YouTube. And then it lives on as a replay on all those channels. And the audio podcast as well as posted. Very simply, it's not just the news. Anybody can talk about that, but what can you do with it? Don't take the news. Do something about it. That's what Wicked Radio is all about. Merry Christmas to you and yours. I hope you really, really enjoy it, and I'll talk to you later.